And since I used to be in Acts 29, I'm going to throw Matt Chandler in there. And I'll do it by saying this. I remember being in a conference. It was about 4 or 5 years ago. There was a panel. It was Eric Mason, Leonce Crump. Who else? Eric Mason, Leonce Crump, Brandon Washington, and Thabiti. Thabiti was the main plenary speaker for this conference. And so Thabiti was there, and there was one other guy, I forget his name, but it was 5 black guys who were either on the board or leaders in the Acts 29 network, or like Thabiti were a guest speaker for that particular conference, and Matt Chandler was the moderator. And we were once again having a conversation about race, except, of course, like all conversations about race, it was all minorities, right? Black voices being elevated, getting to talk. No white person gets to talk. It's just shut up and believe, right? You just shut up, you listen, no cross-examination, no questions, you just believe. And it's all, none of it's factual, none of it's substance or statistics, right? If you ask for statistics, then you're being oppressive, but it's story. It has to be story. Because that's the only thing that'll work. And so it's just this manipulative, emotionally manipulative play of just story after story from these men about how, when I get pulled over by a police officer, they check the trunk of the car, and I'm not even saying that those things didn't happen. But what I'm saying is that doesn't prove anything. That, because we can find 5 white guys in the room who can get up, and so, okay, an individual police officer, maybe it was racial. First, we don't even know it's racial. Second, even if it is racial, that doesn't say that it's systematic. So anyways, you get it. So that's going on. And then at the end, I remember Chandler, he says this, he says, and he's just listening, asking questions, and it's just kind of like this layup. And it was right after some shooting happened. I can't remember which shooting it was, but probably like several of the shootings, one that eventually, after hindsight, was proven that it was justified on the police officers, like Michael Brown, something like that. But I remember Eric Mason saying, "I'm so angry I can't." He was like, "I don't even know where I am right now. I'm dizzy. I can't even see." And I remember being angry. I was angry because it was like, this was 2 days after a shooting took place. You and I, neither one of us know if it was actually unjust, if what the police officer did was actually unjust. You don't know. And in your presumption and your arrogance, you're sitting up there and saying, "I'm so angry right now." And as all 5 of these men continue to give story after story, all these, the women, because it's pastors and wives conference, all these white women, white pastors' wives are crying, and you can just see the shame and the guilt for this sin that none of them had committed, right? Maybe a couple of them. And then at the end, it's like the audacity, the cherry on top. Chandler asks, "Okay, so what can we do to fix it? Like, what are some," and I remember he said, "What are some books that we could read?" And I remember Leonce Crump, he responded by saying, "You see, this is the problem. This is what we call the numinous Negro." And he said, "Did you ever watch The Green Mile with Tom Hanks? It's always, even in the movies, there's always some magical Negro who fixes the white man's problems. You got an iPhone, you can Google it, you find out what books to read." And I wasn't, this was 4 or 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, actually. And so I wasn't well versed in this, but I didn't realize what he was actually, and then he proceeds to recommend like critical, Racecraft was one of the books he recommends. It's riddled with CRT. And so anyways, but after, so Matt Chandler, the president of Acts 29, has you up here, has appointed you to a position on the board, has you up here to speak to all these people where you're just chastising every pastor and wife in the network. And then he's asking you, what can we do to fix the problem? And you just belittle him and belittle all of us, and then you answer the question with heretical, horrible books that no Christian needs to read other than to